What's up guys, welcome back once again to Did Reviews. I know it's been a while since I've done a video, but we're going to do another build today. And today I'm going to do it a little bit different. I normally just do a build, do a little time-lapse sort of me building it, do a bit of B-roll and then talk about it at the end. But today I've decided I'm going to do more of a sort of a bit of a guide on how to build a PC. I know obviously there's loads of videos out there about this, but I thought I'd do my own. So I'm literally going to take you through the whole process of building it. Like I say, normally I talk about the products first and then build it and so on and so forth. But today I'm going to take you through it and talk about the products as I do it. But I'm just going to give you a quick rundown first of what the sort of the bits we are using in it, and then we'll go from there. So first of all, we're going to be using the Ryzen 9 5900X AMD CPU. So nice, mint for gaming, brilliant for content creation as well. Absolutely brilliant processor. That's going to be going in the ASUS ROG Strix B550E gaming, and there is an F version of this as well, which doesn't have Wi-Fi and it's a little bit not as many features as this. So this is the sort of next model up. This is PCI Gen 4 on the top slot M.2 and the top slot PCIe. So it's got that for future compatibility. In terms of storage, we're going to be using two XPG ADATA XX8200 Pros. These are PCI Gen 3, I don't have a Gen 4 drive, but these are plenty fast enough for most people, up to about 3,500 megabytes read-write, so absolutely fantastic. We're going to be using two of those, 1 terabytes. RAM, we're going to be using two 2x8 gig sticks of Crucial BALLISTIX 3200, but I will be overclocking this to 3600 because that's the sweet spot for Ryzen, and this overclocks really, really well. So that's going to be going in. Graphics card, again, going to be the RTX 3080 Fans Edition. It's the other one I've really got, other than a GTX 1080 Ti. So we're going to be going with this one. Again, Fans Edition card, brilliant card, and that's going to look awesome in this build. For cooling, I've used this a few times recently. We're going to go with the Bequiet Pure Loop 240. Absolutely brilliant cooler, so we're going to be using that one. And as you can probably see from the stuff on the table, it's going to be a bit of a Bequiet build. So we've got that. Then we've got the power supply. This was sent in by Bequiet, so massive thank you to Bequiet for this. This is their new Pure Power 11 FM. This is a 650 watt unit. So this is going to be going straight into the case. And last but not least, the case is the Pure Base 500DX, again from Bequiet. So like I say, it's a Bequiet theme. We're going to be popping it all in that, and this is a white case, so we're actually going to be using, we're doing sort of a theme. I don't have any white components, as you can see these are all black. However, I'm going to be using some cables and stuff like that, so I've got some red, white and black cables and things like that. Obviously my RAM's red, so it's going to be a red, white, grey, black sort of theme. I think it's going to look absolutely brilliant, especially inside this case, which is amazing, and I can't wait to build in this. So stick around guys and we'll get into the build. Right, so the first thing we're going to do is prepare the motherboard, and it's generally considered best practice to put it on top of the box, anti-static and all that kind of stuff. It should be a sort of safe working environment to prepare your motherboard. So first things first, we're going to pop the CPU in. Now I say we're going to use the 5900X Ryzen 9. So on AMD, obviously it's a little bit different on Intel, but not massively different. First of all, we're going to lift this lever here next to the CPU socket, and that comes up and you see the socket slide to one side, and then you take your CPU out of its packaging. Be careful not to drop it, especially with AMD, with it being a pin style CPU. Just be careful you don't want to bend on any pins, because that will ruin your day. And then on the CPU you will find a gold triangle in one of the corners just there. You probably can't see it on the camera, but it's just there, and then you want to line it up with the same position on the motherboard. So if you find that on the CPU socket, on this one it's right down in this corner, there's a little square, little triangle there. So you orientate your CPU that sort of way, and then literally just place it in, and it should just find its own home sort of thing and seat itself in, and then you just pop this lever down and that will lock your CPU in place. And that is the CPU done. Now at this point I would normally say to install your mounting hardware for your cooler, but as you can see I've already done it on this one, so depending on your cooler, might use the standard AMD fittings, or it might have its own fittings like this one. Next, what I normally like to do is install the RAM. Like I say, we've got 32 gigs, two two kits of 2 times 8 GB at 3200, and these are Crucial BALLISTIX, really good RAM. So these are really easy to install. If you are only installing 2, I'll do that first, so you know how to sort it out. To get a dual channel, you normally want to use A1 and B1, so obviously both channels A and B. It can vary from board to board, but generally is the same sort of setup. And on this one, it's B1 here, A1 here. So you want to put it in one in each of those, so you have gaps between them. So what you do is you unlock your RAM slots here. Sometimes you have one at this side as well, but on this one board you've only got one this side, and then you want to make sure you line the notch up with the notch in the socket down here. It's as simple as that, basically. So you take your stick and then you just pop it in and make sure it goes in straight, and you should get 2 clicks. There was 2 that were very close together there. So you pop that one in, easy as that. And then the next one again goes in A1, so that was B1. Same with that, 2 clicks and it's in. The lever should go up at the side to lock it in place. And then we'll put our final 2 sticks in as well. So again, remove the packaging. And I find a lot of the time with these, it's generally this label here faces to the right hand side of the motherboard. So this way, I'm pretty sure all the RAM I've used always looks like that. So that's another pointer, but obviously it can change depending on what RAM or what motherboard or whatever you're using. So again, pop that in there, clicks in, and then last one, in we go. And that's your RAM installed. With this one, as I said, I'm using 2 M.2 drives. If you're only using SATA drives, then obviously don't use this step. Your SATA ports are down here, you'll connect them to that. Now this one has 2 slots, this top one here being PCIe Gen 4, bottom one being PCIe Gen 3. We have only got PCIe Gen 3 M.2s, but they work in both as well. There is one already in here, but I'm just going to show you this top one here, because it's basically exactly the same. Obviously some boards will only have 1, some will have 3, maybe more, depending on how high-end your motherboard is. So you may have to do this 3 or 4 times, or you may only have to do it once. Now this acts as a heatsink as well. It normally has a cover on there to obviously stop that getting damaged or anything like that. Obviously I've used this before, so it doesn't have the cover. Just make sure you take that off before you put this back on. So you unscrew that. Right, so once you've got this cover off, then you want to install your M.2. So what you do is you grab your M.2 out of its packaging, and like I say, this is the ADATA SX8200, and you'll notice there is a notch here. If you can see that on camera there's a notch there, and that lines up with sort of notch on the socket here. So I'll just make sure that lines up, and then you pop that, literally just slide it into place. That is in. Now normally you would fit it down with a screw that goes in this standoff here. Unfortunately I've lost mine, so I'm going to do it sort of not a great way of doing it, but I'm just going to pop this back on and I'm going to screw it back down. This should be sufficient to hold it on most motherboards. So screw that in. And that's your motherboard complete, basically. You've got your RAM, you've got your CPU, and you've got your storage down on there as well. Right, so the next sort of step I like to do in building a PC case, you can do this before you've sorted your motherboard out, but I like to then get the case, strip it down, so I've got access to every sort of piece I need to get to, and then obviously put everything in. Now, as I said, this is the Bequiet Pure Base DX500DX in white, and it looks absolutely stunning, absolutely amazing case. So again, thank you Bequiet for sending this one over for this build. Now, like I say, I'm going to strip this down, and I'll talk a little bit about the case as I go through it as well, because it's not really a case review, but I'm going to sort of talk about the case quite a bit as well anyway, because I like to sort of review a case when I'm doing a build. It makes sense, because you don't know a case well enough until you've actually built in it. So let's strip this down, and we'll get going from there. So first of all, remove the glass side panel, and this has 4 screws, thumb screws really. You can tighten them up with a screwdriver, one in either corner, just hold the glass on. I prefer a door on most cases, so it's just easier to put back on with like a magnetic, like the case I did last time, the Aerocool case. I prefer a door on it, I'm not going to lie, but this isn't a problem at all. As you can see, that comes away, and it's got sort of a white frame around this one, so we'll put that down out the way. And then you're into the interior of the case. Next thing I like to do normally is take the back off as well. Sorry about that if you heard that crash, something fell off the side. Take these two captive screws, love to see. Makes life quite a bit easier. I've got to remember to not lose them because they're always there. I'm getting this a little bit dirty because I've got a bit of thermal compound on my hands from cleaning my old PC. And then you're into the back here. Remove any accessories. So this comes with a little accessory box which will have screws and things like that for your motherboard in it. Remove that and put it to one side, you might need that. And then that's that sort of bit done. And then we're going to remove the front panel. I've loosened this previously because it was quite stiff and last time I dropped it. So I removed that, and as you can see, nice mesh front panel finish here. It does have two ARGB strips down the middle here, which is going to be nice. This is going to be sort of a minimalistic RGB build. There's not going to be a lot of RGB in it at all. I'm going to concentrate mainly on performance. Yeah, it's going to be mainly black, red and white, with the main RGB is going to be coming from the motherboard basically, and the rest of it is going to be sort of normal blacks and whites, so it's going to look quite nice hopefully. So yeah, there's that there as well. This connects using an electrical connector here for your ARGB, and it connects to that panel on the side there. Hopefully I didn't damage it when I dropped it. Doesn't look like I did. So put that to one side, and then as you can see on this one, we've got a removable dust filter which literally just like sort of hinges out of the way, and there's these clips down the side, so that's nice to see. Nice big dust filter on that. And this case, as you can probably tell, comes with 3 fans included. They're all 140mm fans on this one, so that's good, 3 of these included. Now in this one they've put one at the front, one at the back, one at the top. I'm going to change that. I'm going to put all 3 at the front, if I can fit all 3 at the front. If not, I'll leave 1 at the back and put 2 at the front. And then obviously I'm going to put fans on the radiator and things like that. So that's the case stripped down. Now you can get access to this, like a little bit more about this case. Obviously standard ATX build. You've got a nice cover here for your cables to go through. You've got a power supply shroud with venting on the top. This also has a dust filter on the bottom. Again, nice and easily removable, slides away. That's absolutely great to see. Also a dust filter on the top. You may not need this if you're using that as an exhaust, which I will be using, but it's nice to leave it on because it looks really nice. And obviously that's where you put your fans and radiators, and that will be up to a 280mm radiator up there. Obviously 2 times 140 fans. You get up to a 140 in the back, up to a 360 in the front, I believe, and that's your lot in terms of cooling. But it should be pretty good for cooling. As it's a nice big case, well, biggish case for its size, for its form factor. Standard ATX power supply, and then let's have a quick look around the back in terms of cable management. You've got lots of tie down points here. They've put some Velcro in already, loads of tie down points. You've got space for SSDs up here, which I'll probably be using. And then you've also got, obviously where the cables are tucked at the moment, you've got a hard drive slot at the bottom, which I will remove because I just like to have a bit more room down the bottom. I'm not using any hard drives here. So yeah, that's the case itself. Absolutely looks brilliant, and I can't wait to build in this. So let's get on with the next part. Right, so now we've got the case sorted. I've rearranged the fans. I've got 140s in the front and the 140 in the back from that Bequiet provide. They're the Pure Wings 2 fans again. Sorry, I forgot to mention that before. Another thing I forgot to mention was the I/O. We've got USB-C, USB 3, and obviously input and output for audio on there. And then we've got a button to change ARGB should you so wish to use the case sort of controller. I'll probably go on to motherboard control just to make things easy, and then I can sync everything up together. Like I say, there's going to be minimal RGB in here anyway. Now with this motherboard, this has an integrated I/O shield, which I'm still not even remove the sticker off, but I'll do that now. There's an integrated I/O shield. If you don't have an integrated I/O shield, obviously remember to put that in first because you can't do it afterwards. So pop that in the back there. The lid just clip in if you've not done one before. So yeah, we're going to pop this in. Like I said, this is the B550E from ASUS. Absolutely great board. Plenty of features, plenty of USBs. I have done a video about this, so I'll link that for you to have a look at. And yeah, let's get it in the case. So now I've removed the fan from the back, I can get easier access to put the motherboard in. So as I was trying to say before, let's slide it into place. It should fit nicely in that back hole there where the I/O shield fits into place. And like I said, this one is a little spigot in the middle which will hold it in place. So that one there in the middle is now holding the board sort of in place. And obviously then we need to just align it up with everything else and get the screws in. And there's like 9 screws in a motherboard, so probably don't technically have to put them all in, but I always do anyway, just to be safe. Right, so then next, most people would probably stick the cooler on now, but I like to do it a little tiny bit different to that. I like to get some of the cables for the power supply in place, namely the EPS connection up here for the CPU, just because once you've got a cooler in, that's an absolute nightmare to get to. Whilst we're here, we'll probably install some of the fans as well because it just makes sense. It's just a lot easier to get out of things whilst it's here. So, like I said before, this is the Pure Power 11 FM from Bequiet again. Like I said, this is a bit of a Bequiet film build. Again, thank you to Bequiet for sending this over. This is a 650 watt power supply, fully modular, 80 plus gold. So, absolutely cracking power supply. So we'll just get this out of the box and we'll get it installed. As you can see, that's your power supply there, and as I said before, fully modular there for all your different bits that you need. So you've got a mess of cables, you want to feed them through the hole first. Feed them through. Pull them through from the other side. I apologise for all this noise. And then your pair shoe slides into place, and then you can tighten it in. Literally pass those through the hole there. And then plug them in at the top. Now this board does take takes 8 pin plus a 4 pin power. That's mainly generally used for overclocking and things like this. Obviously with 5900X, you want to give as much power as you can. And that's the reason I went for this board, is because it allows me to give a bit more power than some others. Now I have got some sleeve cable extensions for this build. However, I haven't got one for the EPS because personally I don't really see the point of having one, because you can't really see it up there once your cooler is installed. So on this one I'm just going to stay with the standard power cables for the EPS, because it just literally doesn't make any sense to me. Now, as I mentioned, I've got sleeve cable extensions for the graphics card and the ATX. Now I'm going to put a link to these up in this description, because these are off Etsy, and they're from a guy called Dream Big Ray or something like that. But like I say, I'll put the link in the description below. And the reason I'm doing this is because they are, as you can see, or you can probably see, the quality of them is absolutely brilliant, and they're so cheap. I think these two cost me like £20, which is nothing for sleeve cables. I've also had some full sleeve modular cables as he does those as well before, and they're dirt cheap for a set without the EPS. I think again I paid about £30, and that was including a 12 pin mini 12 pin for the Founders Edition card. So obviously great. So with this, what you want to do is get your sort of feed it through the back, or feed it from the back, probably easier this time. Feed that from the back, pop that in there. Sort your cable extensions out a little bit. Yeah. Try and sort your cable combs out so it looks quite neat, as neat as you can get it. And then that's that in there, and also then connect your cable at the back, and that one I'll leave till last because that's the graphics card going in last. Now other than that, there's not a lot more to do now. Basically just installing fans and things like that, and obviously the cooler. So next we'll get the cooler installed. Right now it's time to install the cooler. This is obviously I'm using the Pure Loop by Bequiet, Pure Loop 240. This will vary depending on the cooler you're using, so obviously take that into mind when doing this. But they're all sort of not the same, but they're all kind of similar in a way. So you shouldn't have too much problem with this. So yeah, let's get the cooler installed. Now I normally use Arctic MX4, but I can't find it at the moment, so I'm going to be using my MX5, which I've got, which is quite new. Which I'm going to do a video about this at some point on which one's better. Probably been done many times already, but I'm going to do it myself anyway, because why not? So this, you want to put a P-size amount on the middle of your CPU. Some people like to spread it, some people like to draw an X, other things like that. I generally just put a blob in and then hope for the best, and it should squeeze itself out. This one does come with a spatula though, and because it's a lot runnier than the MX4, I'm going to kind of spread it. Now we're going to install the cooler, and as you can probably tell from the board, I've put my thermal paste on and spread it on. Some people, I normally just put a blob on, but this stuff I'm using at the moment is a bit runny, so I've spread it on. Some people put a cross, some people do dots, some people do all sorts of different things when they're putting thermal paste on. It's easy enough just to put a blob on, but no, like I say, with this one, this is the MX5 from Arctic. This is a bit runnier, so I've done it this way. Now installing the cooler, we're going to pop this in the top up here, so it's going to go in the roof of the case. Cable's going to pop through the back, and then obviously your block's going to attach to the mounting hardware that's already in there. Again, this will vary depending on your cooler as to how this goes. So obviously, do it as per your instructions for installing this, and you should be fine. So on this, route your cables through that need to go to the back. So fan cables are going to go through there. Alright, so fan cables through the back. This is the way I do it anyway. Put the fan cables through, and then get your screws ready and attach this straight to the top using the screws provided with your cooler. Obviously, if it's an air cooler, it will be different. So yeah, pop it in the top here. Make sure you line it up where you want it. And screw it into the top there. Right, now once you've got your radiator installed to the top, then you want to take your cables for your pumps and things like that. This one's got one for the pump and one on the sort of block head, which is, I think it just controls the light inside there, which is just white on this one, which again will fit this build nicely. Now one thing I will mention is, something I've not done here, which is a bit daft, is your fan cables for your CPU are normally up there, so it's quite hard to get hold of, so maybe do that first. Rookie mistake here, but I'm going to get these in now. And then for the block, it's on this one, it's as simple as just placing it up against the mounting hardware and screwing the 2 screws in. Do them like opposing just to get enough even pressure across them, and that is literally it. Okay, now we've got the cooler in, we're just going to plug some more cables in, sort of the front panel cables, which you'll find vary from case to case. On this one we've got HD audio. I won't be using that, no point using that really. We've got USB-C type connector, not all cases will have this, and then you've also got a USB 3 connector, and these are always really easy to plug in. There's only really one place they can go normally, well, there should only be one place they can go. So what I'm going to do is feed those through, minus the HD audio. I'm going to feed those through this side bit here. Spin the case back round, and then you can see USB 3 here goes to this connector just here. My motherboard's a bit damaged, I've lost the sort of plastic shell that goes around it. That's put into there, and then USB-C is literally can go anyway. It's not a sort of sided cable, and that plugs straight into there, and then that gives you USB and USB 3 for the front panel, and that's that. Now lastly is going to be to install the graphics card. Obviously you've got things like install fans and things like that, but if you just check your motherboard manual, you'll be able to see where they go on your motherboard, because they do vary on where they are, and also any ARGB connectors. We've got one down here which is for the case lighting, which will then sync it with the rest of the PC. So graphics cards, easy to go in, one of the easiest parts to install, to be honest, and definitely worth leaving until the last minute because it is you need to get everything else in first, and otherwise it gets in the way. Now in this case we've got these sort of screws at the side here, which are thumb screws but they're really tight, so let me just loosen those a little bit. So you loosen those off, that comes away, and then you get access to your PCIe slots. Now generally nowadays it will be the second and third one you'll remove to get access, which is where your I/O will line up for your graphics card then. So remove that screw there, pull out the bracket, keep hold of the screw, move the next screw down. Again, these are thumb screws but are a little bit tight. Remove the next bracket, and then you've got access to your PCIe slots. Locate your top PCIe slot. Generally best to put it in the top PCIe slot, especially on this board as this is a Gen 4 on the top slot I believe, and I don't think it might be on the second one as well. Yeah, locate that and then make sure this connector here, which is obviously your PCIe connector, lines up properly with that. These cables get in the way a little bit on this one. Just push it into place and it should click in. You should hear a click like that, and that will be the latch back here as it came into contact and made positive connection with that. Next thing to do will be to reinstall the screws you just removed from the PCIe covers to hold the graphics card in place. You'll find with some graphics cards that are huge, you may need to install a anti-sag bracket because it will lean down at the other end. This one is not too bad. It's quite it's not small, but it's not particularly huge, this one. So screw these two back in to hold it into position. It should hold it in nicely. And then with this one, as I say, you've got these screws here, place the cover back over. Then lastly is PCIe power to your graphics card. Again, these nice custom cables I've got, which are to 2 8-pins to 1 mini 12-pin. So going to look really nice rather than the standard black horrible thing you get with this card. Literally as simple as plugging it in. Obviously some cards will have multiple PCIe 8 pins or 6 pins that you'll need to plug in, but this one, being the Founders Edition, just has the 12 pin on this one, which connects to 2 8 pins at the back, and obviously then connect it up at the back. And that is the PC completed. Bar a bit of cable management, but I'll leave cable management to you. I'm not great at it, but we'll leave it as it is and I'll sort it out. Right, lastly, before I forget, you need to make sure you put your front panel connectors in. I forgot this. Maybe a bit easier to do them earlier on when you've not got things in the way, because they are generally down in the bottom right hand corner of the thing, of the motherboard. But make sure you get these in the right place. Consult your motherboard. It will tell you where they are, because they can be in different places and different sort of layouts. So obviously consult your motherboard as to where they are, and then we'll get these plugged in, and then we'll get on to some testing. We'll do some thermals, we'll do some benchmarking, and obviously we'll do sort of a B-roll and show you how it looks at the end as well. And I've got high hopes for this. Should look really good. Right, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope people that don't know how to build a computer now know how to build a computer, and people that do, I hope you still enjoyed it. I hope you like the final build in the Bequiet 500DX. I'm really impressed with it. Really good case. Again, thanks Bequiet for sending the parts over to me. I really appreciate it. Yeah, case looks brilliant, build looks brilliant, and performs well, as you can see from the graphs that I put up on screen earlier. And from the B-roll you can see it looks good, and the graphs show that obviously it performs really well. The airflow is absolutely fantastic in this case, especially with having the mesh front panel. That obviously helps massively, and the fact that it includes 340mm fans is absolutely brilliant. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. I can't really fault this case at all, other than I would like to see a bit of more of a sort of adapter you can put in the PSU shroud to stop you being able to see through the hole if you do remove that hard drive cage. But other than that, I can't fault it at all. Absolutely brilliant case, absolutely amazing build. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you liked this format and you want me to do sort of, probably obviously not a guide again, but something similar, then obviously let me know. If you prefer me to just do time-lapse videos and then straight into the B-roll and conclusion at the end, then obviously let me know again on that, and I can do that in the next time. So thanks for watching again, guys. Hope to see you in the next video. I hope to have some more builds coming very soon, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers, guys.